Welcome in this video. This is a second video on the same topic because I have already done it, but it was too much long. So I decided to do another video that is done for those that know quite well the lore of Dark Souls and that have already tried to speculate about the main aspect of the story as the physics and the rules that rule the Soulsborne world. This story is about the union of the plots of the three franchise: Demon Souls, Dark Souls, and Bloodborne. And it will explain how they are connected, the temporal organization in which they're connected is the one that is accepted by most of the people that want to find a connection between these three games. But the solution that make this connection between the games acceptable are my personal development. I will try to make this video within very few minutes, so let's start immediately. And in case you need a more clear explanation, you can go in the description of this video and you will find a video more slow of 1 hour and something where I explain more detail in a more detailed way. Of course, if you have other questions, you can post them, and I think I will do other trials of producing this video. So this video is about Soulsborne, the Soulsborne plot. According to this theory, what I want to demonstrate is that Nyarlathotep, a character of the universe of H.P. Lovecraft, is the representation is represented in the three franchise three times in three different ways. Indeed, Nyarlathotep, according to H.P. Lovecraft, is the soul, the heart, and the messenger of the outer gods, in particular of Azathoth. So in Demon Soul, it appears as the soul. In Dark Souls, it appears as heart, and in Bloodborne, it appears as a messenger. Let's start with the soul. We can trace a very clear line between Azathoth and the Old One. Azathoth is the main god of Lovecraft universe, as Old One is the main god of Demon Soul. The soul of Azathoth is Nyarlathotep. This is only one of the several shapes of Nyarlathotep, which can appear in different forms and names. According to my theory, the Old One is a kind of demon that gives part of his souls to other demons to make them go to retrieve the souls of the humans. We know that the souls represent even the clarity and the mind of the humans, and so a great quantity of souls should represent the will of the Old One. That's why the demons are able to do the tasks that are given by the Old One, as they have part of his clarity, and then the intention of the Old One and the demons usually are similar or the same. Finally, when one human that became demon, process that can happen when a human succeeds in absorbing enough souls to reach the status of demon, this human decided to take the power of the Old One or to share it with him, to share the soul with the Old One, and through this contact, he succeeded in becoming a being of another state of existence, another level of existence. This can be assumed watching the transformation of King Allant when he tried to do the same thing. The transformation of King Allant may be a failed transformation, as King Allant may be not enough powerful to complete it. Here I've used an image from Bloodborne to guess how a person that entered in contact with the soul of the Old One may look when he succeeds in making this contact and transforming in a celestial creature. So we all notice how the beginning of Dark Souls is very similar to the bad ending of Demon Soul. And the Old One here have taken all the souls of all the humanity. The world has become a gray and dark place, till when one day the old one or the celestial creature that have taken his souls explode in a tempest of fire, which awake the bodies of the Boletarians that were without soul for many centuries. These ancient people get up from they were laying, and four of them find powerful souls. Three find the normal souls of the celestial creature, while another one find a particular soul that is different for its color, as it seems to be black. We can explain the light that we see in the soul of the dark soul as simply the state in which that soul is in that moment. Indeed, here the dark soul is burning. That's why it produces light. But when it has been assimilated by a lord, it will reveal his real form. So here I would like to put some information that should make us give us more evidence about the black hole nature of the what then has been called humanity or darkness. So is black with light matter around as a black hole, distortion of space and time. Indeed, we use humanities for invasions. Manus have taken us, bringing us back in the past. Fionor egg that contain darkness inside when it's touched make us transport us in the future. Then we see through the time, that is what the Firekeeper can do. But this power is limited by the Firekeeper have infinite quantity of humanity inside their body, and probably their eyes have been carved in order to not carved, taken to in order to not allow them to see in the future. But we can see this ability in the last Firekeeper, which is able to see a light turning on in the future when the fire is fading. There is the power to manipulate the soul, that is still a characteristic of the Firekeeper. The black hole, as it is considered the mist of the old one, is considered to be a hole in the fabric of reality, according to some theories or some sci-fi movies. And we have binary black holes that are quite common, even though it's not very common to hear about them. And it is interesting that there are even binary twin humanities that could be or a gameplay characteristic or another evidence of this particular nature of the humanities. Then we have other information from the sorceries about humanities. We know that they are a fleeting will that feel envy or love for their target. We even find out that their target is life in general, so the souls, and that they have a weight and give physical damage, and perhaps the human soul, so it means that these are the souls of the human, are closer to matter in its humanity. So the human soul may be done by humanity and souls, and the humanity represent a more solid, a more dense kind of souls, according to the theory that I'm bringing on. So we can assume this information saying that the fleeting will, feeling envy, or perhaps love toward life, are weighty, and inflict physical damage, closer to matter than souls. These are the characteristics that overall we can give to the humanities. It is interesting that they have a will, and that this will is to go toward life, and they give physical damage. So this this wheel of going toward life probably is related to taking this life, because things that they can do by touch. This means that their behavior is very similar to the one of the old one, and it would not be a surprise if they are actually a manifestation of the old one, and has a manifestation of the old one were the demons of demon souls, which go around searching for souls of the humans to bring them back to the old one. So these kind of spirits, in some way, ends up in the body of the Ulasil people that we see in the DLC, and these people get terribly deformed. They start transforming themselves and get generally crazy. This kind of transformation can be considered part of the process of transformation that we find during the, especially Dark Souls 3, in which we see monsters more and more like dragons that are completing their cycle of transformation. This particular physical transformation on Dark Souls 3 has been found by a YouTuber, of which I put a link here if you want to go to check, and it's very interesting. It's very interesting theory that I consider to be totally true. Miyazaki has even explained how the dragon are not totally alive, but they are half-living creatures. Things that remind me the description of the Dark Souls, which says that if the souls are the origin of all life, then then what represent the Dark Souls from the moment that it is clearly some form of life, or for the dragons, or for the when we find them in the DLC. And so this could be an answer. The humanities are simply different, are on a different level of, on a different plane of life. This transformation that is happening to the Ulasil people has been immediately stopped by Gwyn, which, or who for him, which applied what we know as the curse. So the curse and the darkness of the humanity are two different things. And of course, I forgot to mention that here we already have what before were the souls of the old one become the heart of the humans that, according to my theory, are the representation of the old one. So the mark is applied on the humans, and the humans are not able anymore to transform, and are not even able to to lose their soul once they are dead. This means that even though they can be killed several times, they will still be alive, as the soul will not leave their body. In this way, Gwyn solved the problem of the transformation of the humans in dragons, and but cannot solve the problem of the capabilities of the humans to concentrate in their body the souls in clusters, which sooner or later would make the flame disappear, as these kind of black holes would absorb all the existent souls and would turn off the flame that created his empire. According to this view, finally get the sentence of Aldia get some kind of more clear meaning. And the man assumed a fleeting form. These are the roots of our world. Men are props on the stage of life, and no matter how tender, how exquisite a lie will remain a lie. This sentence wants to say that humans are not done for life. They are not part of the life cycle, as they are creatures on another level of the existence, and cannot be and doesn't how to say, belong to this kind of world of the normal people, of the normal life, of the beings that live through normal souls. I didn't put here the slide, but it is even recalling the description of the seed of the giant, I think in Dark Souls 3, in which the description tell how the souls, the dead is never the end of the life, as the souls reincarnate in other forms. And at the end of this description, we find another consideration in which it questions what happened to who is out of this cycle. And in that case, I think this, what the description is speaking about is the Dark Souls itself. In this way, with this mark that stop the undead to um, transform in what he is meant to be, Gwyn, with the help of other gods, organize a kind of church that bring the undead to some kind of nihilism based on the religion, in which they must kill themselves to burn the dark souls they bring inside their body and bring on the world of fire that they know. We arrive in Dark Souls 3, in which the the course become weaker, and it is more it becomes weaker and weaker, and then the humans are finally free to transform. Another change that happened is uh, the souls and the dark souls becoming part of the blood of the character of this episode. From Dark Souls 3 till Bloodborne, we find the souls are contained in the blood, and this would even explain the name Bloodborne, as born, transported in the blood, for who is not so good in English as me. So this we will see this later, but by now we can just mention what we already know. That is that Ariamis is a girl that need the dark souls that arrives to her in form of blood to paint a new world. Actually, she used the dark blood, and theoretically, he should even use the normal blood with normal souls, as she said that a painting should contain both of the two elements of diversity to be a good painting. So here we find other example of transformation. I take even some from Bloodborne, as I noticed that not only the sorceries, analog sorceries of the soul, the respective sorceries spell are slower than the one made by soul. Even the description of the sorceries explain how humanities are slower and represent somehow matter, solid matter. And I noticed this interesting thing that many characters related with darkness or with dark creatures used to sit on wheelchairs, which would be some kind of symbology for this heaviness that the darkness bring with himself. So probably this body find difficult to move. Then we find undead transforming in trees, which is somehow a representation of the old one, and it's quite clear from Dark Souls 2 on, but even before, that the Dark Souls are able to produce wood or roots, or to being black holes are able to open portals till to the old one or some other creature that produce these roots. Now here started the part that is related to Berserk, and here we can see the proportion I did. The humanity stands to the locust or many other demons, has the Bejelite stands to the demons of Berserk. This may be confusing for who didn't read Berserk, but you can still go to the other video in which I explain a little better this characteristic. For the others, I think it's quite clear that who has the Bejelit can become a demon. And the same way, who has the Dark Souls can do the same. Now here we find the other very sexy connection. As we can see, in the end of Dark Souls 3, we find that this eclipse and the Dark Lord has risen. We find that is the same thing that happened during the transformation, at the beginning of the transformation of Griff in Berserk. So we can assume that the feast that these locusts speak about during the DLC is nothing more than the feast that is used to spread the blood that is needed for the creation of the new Lord. This kind of feast is something that happened in the eclipse of Berserk, and this sacrifice of human lives allow to a new god, a man, allow a man to become a god. And the connection is quite clear with when the locusts say let the feast begin is a message to the player because they want to that moment can arrive in order to feed over the humans for the sacrifice. Here we find some drawing of Berserk, and we find Greaves that sacrifice all his friends and his followers in order to generate his new body through their blood. And we find this symbology of a egg as a reborn of the reborn of this goddess, of this god. I find this connection quite similar to what may be the transformation of the Dark Lord of Dark Souls 3 with the Lord, the god of Berserk. We find even some aesthetic similarities. Here there is the translation of the images in Italian that you saw before. Till now you have been living in a dream called Griffiths, but now you will make up an endless dream. You will wake up in an endless dream. So this is even a reference to the dream of the hunter. The hunter, of course, is the moon presence that lives forever in this dream from which it operates his plans. Another interesting sentence that we will maybe see later is the one of the doll that repeat in Bloodborne the concept of the flower of the moon that is in a dream, and she referred to the little ones which are the fleeting will of the ancient. So already here we can imagine that the dark soul that till now for us has been the will of the demon soul, so the will of the demon, now takes shape in the messenger as a third metamorphosis of this kind of entity in Bloodborne. So here we already said that the blood has become the medium of transportation for the medium of transportation for the souls and the dark souls. In this case, I have reason to believe that the transported souls are just souls, not dark souls, and we will see why later. And the messengers are maybe what is left of the humanity of the servants of the Dark Lord that have been totally dried out of blood, and that, as we see, are having part in the transformation of their Lord. There is even a chest, a hole on the chest on the Dark Lord that may be the position where his heart. It may be many things, but in general, I would assume that is a connection between the messenger and the heart of the of the moon presence. Another obvious characteristic that many before me has noticed is the symbol of the hunter and the symbol of the sacrificial sacrificial maybe um, people that are used for the competition of the new god. This is interesting even because the transformation of the moon presence in a complete god is not complete, as the Dark Souls has been used to create the painting of Ariamis, and that is why the painting of Ariamis, which is Bloodborne, is haunted by the moon presence with his hunters to go to catch the dark blood that is contained in the painting. In this way, somehow the hunters, even without knowing it, are more or less in the same position of Gatsu in the manga, as these hunters go to search for blood, but then their own blood, the blood that has become their own and that made them so powerful, will be assimilated by the moon presence at the end of the game. At this point, we went through all the three manifestations of the Dark Souls: the soul, the heart, and the messenger. In the souls of the old one, the heart of the undead, and the messengers of the moon presence. Similarly to Manus, even as we said, the moon presence is able to um, travel through dimension, and he will use this representation of the house of the German, and will kidnap German from the painting to create the stage in which the hunter dream have a place. The hunter dream is not the dream of the hunter, of course, but is the dream of the hunter of hunters that is mentioned even in some description. And and is the place where this kind of trickster god deceive our hero and succeed in making him find the souls inside of the paintings. So the moon presence somehow that I don't have time to explain in details here, is able to catch people from the painting and make them become his own servants. The doll is the means that the moon presence use has equivalent of Firekeeper. The moon presence has already seen the Firekeeper of Dark Souls 3. He met the last one, and he want to create again this creature that more is some kind of machine for assimilation of power. To do this, he give her something that look like the soul of a Firekeeper. And it is interesting to notice that this is in form of tear and is very similar to the last tear of the of Greaves before transforming in a god. Now we could imagine that the Dark Lord during his transformation has Greaves have a tear fall from his face for some reason, and this tear becomes the thing that make the doll alive and that allow her to control the souls as a Firekeeper would do. But there is a more clear explanation that we can find in the two ending of Demon Souls and Dark Souls 3. Indeed, in Demon Soul, there is a tear falling from the eyes of the uh, girl in black when she has been killed by the our hero, if that can be called. And at the same time, seems that the history repeat with the last fire keeper. Now it's much more easy that it is a tier of the last fire keeper to arrive to the end of the time of Dark Souls, rather than be kept for centuries or thousands of years during from Demon Souls. This is I've been thinking a little about this, as I would think the tier should have come from the last Fire Keeper from Dark Souls 3. But at the same time, I was fascinated by the fact that the same voice actress gave her voice both to the girl in black and the doll of Bloodborne. At that point, I've been thinking that the eyes that the last firekeeper are the eyes of the first firekeeper, as she didn't have eyes by herself. This means that a tear from the last firekeeper comes from the eyes of the first firekeeper, and somehow this uh, tear transform. Probably when she's dying, the last tear contain her soul. This may be even that the soul of Griffiths was contained his last tear as he become a soulless creature. But this is too much strong speculation. So this tear that comes from the eyes of the first firekeeper has been taken, as we see in this slide, from the Dark Lord together with the flame, or maybe it's just that has been taken. We don't know. And the life to the doll has been given in this way. Finally, more or less, this was the what I wanted to display about the connection of these three franchise. We went through the representation of the soul, of the heart, and the messenger of the old one, which is inspired by Azathoth, and then is the are the three represented, and then consequently these are the three representation of Nyarlathotep. Even I have some speculation about Ariamis being the Cthulhian creature in the Bloodborne, as she need even pure blood, not only dark blood, to paint her painting. Then I can assume she used her own blood, and this would explain the presence of a creature that remind me her somehow, who from which the curing blood comes from. But this is a very wide topic that I'm not willing to discuss now. And here we can do a little recap. So there is here there is a thing about Big Bang that you will understand if you watch the long video. So there is an old one. He spread his souls. He take the souls back. He get one with the humans. That is the last demon of Boletaria. They conquer the world and the souls disappear. They explode in a tempest of fire. In this fire is found the will of the old one. The will of the old one ends up to be to enter in the body of humans, or to generate humans, we cannot be sure, which have this soul as their heart. This heart make them push them to transform in something else, in a higher level creature. But the gods of Dark Souls stop them. stop the transformation. The undead are used as mean to continue the Age of Fire till when there is nothing left to burn, because the humanities have lost their potential carburant property to burn. Then there is nothing to stop the humans anymore to collect all their dark souls together, and the Dark Lord conquer all the souls existent in the world, I guess, and he start a transformation in a new creature, while all his followers um, become bloodless minions that contribute to its creation. I would like no, I do this later, and then at the end we can find different endings. The moon presence will kill all the hunters that serve her and complete her transformation, and maybe one day create a new Big Bang of souls in a new Demon Souls like scenario, or moon presence will be defeated by one of these hunters, that is us, and will and this hunter will transform in a celestial creature, because we'll have access to the soul of the moon presence, and the same way we'll maybe one day create a new Big Bang of souls in which the humans will come back to live, as it happened in Boletaria when God gave them a soul. Indeed, this kind of creature seems more similar to the old one than how similar could ever been the moon presence, but we don't know. We don't know how it's gonna grow, so let's stop the speculation here. I would like even to clarify how the souls and heart and will are present in all the games, but the manifestation, the physical clear manifestation, change from game to game. So we have demon souls where we find the souls to be gas. We have dark souls where we get a suggestion that the souls get physical. They get a physical acception, and finally in Bloodborne we have a totally physical dark souls that is called messenger, and these are the three representation of Nyarlathotep. At the same time, um, we can see the three representation of Nyarlathotep in each game. In Demon Soul, they are the souls. In the heart is represented by this structure in wood that contain the souls, and that can be associated with the souls as well. And finally, we have the will, that is the will to absorb other souls, that is there, is the MacGuffin part of the story, is what brings the story on. In Dark Souls, we have the souls that are both present in normal souls and inside these kind of black holes. But these dark souls are even represent the heart of the humans, and still the humans that have these dark souls have this unstoppable desire for souls. So they seek souls, as we can see in several descriptions. Finally, in Bloodborne, we find the soul again in form of dry blood. Even here, I just show the dark blood, but I should have represent even the other blood. And the heart is represented according to a very particular speculation to the head of the moon presence, that, as we see here, enter another dimension. So maybe it may empower the roots growing from the dark souls, or in general other universes. So it's the manifestation of wood from each dark souls may be simply the manifestation of the head of the moon presence that expands through dimensions. considering the Dark Souls as portals, basically. And finally, we have the will of the old one, that in this case is a physical creature and help us to serve the moon presence, and so help us still to collect as much blood echoes as possible and achieve the goal of the celestial creature. We arrived to the conclusion. So what I wanted to prove, and I think I did in this video, is that the Soulsborne have a joint timeline. The Dark Soul is a black hole of souls and the will of the Old One at the same time. And the Demon Souls are the subject of the three titles: Demon, Dark Souls, and Bloodborne. As Demon Souls are the same Dark Souls of Dark Souls, and Bloodborne refers to the souls transported by the blood. I hope you liked this video and that you agree with the main point of this story. And I would highly appreciate if you let some comments so I know that someone have seen this video. Would be very cool. If you want other answer, you are passionate with this topic and you think that what I say is reliable or condivisible, shareable, I don't know. You can go to watch the other video and I don't know, do the evangelist of this story to the rest of the world. Thank you for watching and hope to see you soon with another video. Bye bye.